Yes, y'all. Welcome to Office Hours. Welcome. Hello, Lisa, Mr. Robert Brennan, Stacy. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you here for the last Office Hours of 2022. Can you believe it? Wow. We are off to a new year here very quickly. What's up, Rob Smith? Good to see you here, sir. Welcome, Craig. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. As you may be able to tell, you are getting me just post-gym, sweaty, nasty. That's the way we roll around here. We got a lot of stuff going on. We're going from one thing to the next. What's up, Doran? What's up, Ann? Hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for the last Office Hours of 2022. Don't worry, we've got a very full agenda coming at you in 2023, so we will be right back at it. I do got to sit down and look at my calendar and finalize the call schedule, though, because right after the new year, I'm taking my kids skiing for 4 days in Park City. I think the third we go on that trip, so may not be able to start calls up until the following week, but we will get back at it. So I hope everybody's having a good start to the holidays. I feel like I feel like this holiday so far for me is off to a weird start because I had all these grand plans in December, just kind of like it's going to be just relaxing. I've got my kid home from college. We're just going to do lots of chilling out. Hey, Tim Fander, good to see you, buddy. We're just going to do lots of relaxing and all that stuff. And it has not turned out that way at all yet. My daughter came home from college, decided to get a job while she's here, which, love that, proud of her, love the spirit, all that good stuff. But I would rather she doesn't have a job so I can just hang out with her. But so she's been busy, so her schedule is crazy. And then my second daughter has her high school soccer team just starts up right now. And so she has 6 games this week. 6 games this week. Like, how do you play 6 soccer games in a week? And she's a very competitive player. Like, her high school is one of the most competitive in the state. Like, 6 games. So we're driving around all over everywhere, going to games and, all that stuff. So it's been crazy. We don't have a Christmas tree yet. We haven't started any of that stuff. I've done like 1 minute of Christmas shopping so far. So, man, I got to get it in gear. So, I know, right, Tim? Who plays 6 games in a week? It's crazy. So, anyway, I hope that your holidays is off to a good start. I got nothing to complain about, really. I would love it if it was a little bit slower pace, but that's all good. That's kind of the life we've created. And then New Year's, though, I'm really looking forward to it. I've got an awesome event I'm going to for New Year's. It's going to be fantastic. My favorite restaurant in the city is having a big, dinner. And then the chef, who's the famous chef, one of the most famous chefs in town who owns that, then turns this place into a big New Year's Eve party. And he stays there with all his buddies and parties for the night and all that type of stuff. So that's just going to be a blast. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the new year. 2022 has been ups and downs as every year has been, but overall a good year and looking forward to the next year. So I hope you guys are too. And I'm looking forward to having all of you in the community and continuing to work with you. And let's build these dang businesses and build our freedom and have some fun. All right. Let's see here. The way Office Hours works, I will field whatever questions I feel like I can do a decent job of fielding. So you are free to just chat them into the comments here. I am also putting in a link here that if you want to join me on camera, so if you have something that's a little bit more complex, needs to be kind of talked through, maybe just even communicating the question, take some context, stuff like that, feel free to join me on camera. And I will give you a warning before I put you up on the screen in front of everybody. But you can come on camera and we can chat that way. So Jordan says, yeah, the kids just got home from college today and it's pandemonium. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a good pandemonium. I love it. 6 soccer games in a week. I just hope we get through it without anybody getting injured. That's my biggest concern with 6 games. Is they're young, they can do lots, but man, it's amazing the kids at this age who they're already getting ACLs and, ACL tears and repairs and all that type of stuff. I don't want any of that stuff happening. We had 3 in one day for 3 kids. Yeah, oh yeah, that happens all the time, Dorn, around here. Do you do a company-wide year-end reviews? Dorn asked me. Yes, I always do. I have a review process that I am religious about. And it's a review process, but it's also a planning process. I spend more time planning than I do in review. But yes, I absolutely do this. Now, Dorn, though, you probably were aware of my growth planning bootcamp, and I did that, like a month and a half ago. And that's my rhythm, is I like to get all of that done like in the beginning of fourth quarter. So that way, when I'm coming into the holidays now, I feel settled. Like I feel like, okay, I've thought through the things that need to be thought through and stuff like that, so I can hit the ground running in 2023. So that is my process, because I used to start doing my review like now. It's like, okay, now I can take 2 weeks off around Christmas and do my review and do my planning. But the reality is that's a lot of work. And so when you're trying to do that work right in the middle of the holidays, when you also want to be relaxing and having fun, what I found was that, particularly for my employees that I want involved, they really hated me when I would be like, okay, December 15th, now we're starting our, review and planning process. And they're like, look, bro, like we wanted to take a couple weeks off with our families, which I get, so I moved that whole process back. And I now start it, more like it's usually, like beginning of November. I like to have it done before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my most relaxing holiday of the year. And I like that to be the start of the holiday season for me. And, time with the kids and all that type of stuff. So I like to have it done by then. So, but yes, and my process, just to try and give the abbreviated version of it, but I have my growth planning bootcamp is out there and available. But I do, reflection on all kinds of metrics, or I shouldn't even say metrics, all kinds of categories. I have my 7 F's that for me are how I think about my life. So for me, my businesses and my life are completely intertwined, right? So I'm doing my thinking and planning at a personal level as well around the key areas of my life. And then from a business perspective and a personal perspective, I have key metrics. I have my key metrics that I'm tracking, like how big is my YouTube channel growing? How much is my list growing? What's my recurring revenue? On my personal side, what's my weight? What's my body fat percentage? Do I have my fun days in the year ahead plan, my travel days plan? Do I have, all that type of stuff, right? So I'm reflecting on how all of those things went in the last year, reflecting on major lessons learned, personal highs and lows, emotionally and all that stuff, right? One of my 7 F's is feelings, right? So how am I feeling? How did I feel about the last year? What were the ups and downs there, and why? What caused those? And how can I make them more ups than downs, So I do all of that. And then ultimately I turn to then planning in the next year. So planning in the next year starts with, again, I've got my whole process around this, but what's the milagro? The milagro is like, what's kind of the big, beautiful, dream? What's the miracle that I would like to see my next year be like in these key categories of my life? And then from there, going down, I've got all my M's and stuff. So going down into the point of, metrics, and saying, okay, what are the key metrics then that I'm going to measure myself by? What are the milestones? What are the key metrics? So I go through this whole process that ultimately at a company level comes down to then a very metric-based, okay, here are my targets. Well, those are my targets, and all of my metrics say that, in order for me to get $1 new of recurring revenue, I have to get 5 new subscribers on YouTube or email or whatever it is. Like, however my kind of funnel works out. And then I set my targets for my metrics for the year and get going. I used to be like, I used to do goal setting wrong, I think. And there's some big lessons in this for me, and maybe some lessons for all of you as well. Goal setting used to be as like is like punitive to me as it was, like a positive thing. And the reason why is because I listened to that, there's a lot of people out there that say, a goal isn't a goal unless it has a, hard deadline and all that type of stuff. Right. And so, and it's got to be an outrageous, it's got to be a stretch goal and all this type of stuff. So you listen to all these, approaches. And so what I would do is create these big impossible stretch goals with a hard deadline, because that's what I was supposed to do. And then I wouldn't, 95% of those you wouldn't hit because they're big, outrageous stretch goals, right? And so I used to like beat myself up about it. And I would get like very, very hardcore about, I have to have that date and I have to do this by that date. And used to get just all intense about it. And it was wrong. It was wrong for a couple of reasons. One, because goal setting shouldn't feel like, you're beating yourself up. And you want to set big enough goals that they are like super exciting to you, super motivating to you, and that to some degree or another, you're never going to catch, because that's the game, right? The game is just always growing and always having a pursuit. Yeah, BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. That's right. For me, I have realized that it's always about having something that you're looking forward to in life and business, right? And so I, realized that no, I've got to stop beating myself up about it. I've got to set big goals. I've got to have milestones. I've got to have metrics that I'm using to hold myself accountable, to say, hey, Mike, are you actually making progress or not, right? But I'm a driver. Like I don't have to. Being lazy and not doing stuff is not my problem. That's not my issue in life. So I should not be beating myself up about it. I should just be setting big, crazy goals and going and having fun and trying to be as energized moving towards those goals as humanly possible. So I no longer really worry about hard deadlines. Like, yes, do I have deadlines that I'm aiming towards? Yes, but I don't get worried about them. I certainly don't beat myself up about them. Life happens. I've got 3 kids, changing plans happen. Like, as long as I'm driving forward, making progress, pursuing things with energy, drive, passion, I'm winning, So the final result of my goal setting process is slightly more loose than it used to be. And I think that's actually much better. Dorn says, we're doing ours tomorrow. That's awesome. And what I would say is just make sure and give yourself enough time, right? So like do an initial version of it, give it a few days, let it percolate, come back to it, see how you feel about the things that you came up with, like that type of thing before you kind of go and set anything in stone, right? Jason says, hey, Mike, thanks for your help this week. I'm thinking about getting a whole new 297 high level account so I can get your high leverage agency program. Oh, that's awesome, Jason. I'm sorry you have to do that. I think it's weird that high level, that's the one tier that they won't pay split commissions on, so if you started with somebody else, you can't, I can't get any credit if you upgraded to 297 with me. So I'm kind of bummed that you have to do that, but also I love the enthusiasm and hustle and everything. I would love to work with you. PJ says, currently listening to Brian Tracy's seminars on goals, mind blown. Yeah, absolutely. Joe says, hey, Mike, you responded to my comment yesterday and directed me here. Awesome. What's up, Joe? Please, can you talk about how the systems as a service MSP model works in practice? How is Go High Level used? How is UpHex used? Okay, cool. So yeah, I think Joe, you asked on my YouTube channel, and I was like, oh man, that's a lot to try and address on in comments on YouTube. Okay, so the MSP model, systems as a service. So let's just talk about the core idea behind systems as a service first, Joe, which I think you got from watching that YouTube channel, but let's just kind of review it for everybody here. Is an agency model. You are typically selling your time and talent. There's a creative component. There's a custom component to it for each and every customer, right? And that's a perfectly fine business model. If you're working with Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, they can pay you millions of dollars. You can hire a bunch of very talented people, and and they're excited about the work that they get to do because they're working on these challenging new clients. One day it's something for Coke, the next day it's something for Nike, the next day it's something for Apple, right? You can get really talented people. You can mark up their time like crazy, sell their time like crazy, and that can be a good business model, okay? In addition, all of those companies typically do big media spends, and the agency typically then gets a percentage of those big media spends. So there's some awesome leverage to the model. When you take that model and you apply it to small businesses, it breaks, it sucks, because small businesses cannot pay you for awesome talent. They do not spend huge media dollars for you to get a percentage of. It's just not the way small businesses work, right? So the models that have worked really well with small businesses is tools and systems, okay? So tools are you go out, Mr. Small Business Owner, and you buy the email marketing platform and you do your email marketing, okay? It's a great business model because software is so high leverage, completely automated, all that stuff. Provides great value to those small businesses who know how to use it, have the time to use it, and have the resources to use it, right? Systems then are in between tools and agency, where it's like, hey, you know that you should be doing this stuff. You don't have the money, or management capability or whatever to do it internally. You can't hire and build your own team. You don't have that talent. You're a restaurant, right? So you're not building a marketing team in that restaurant. You could theoretically use the tools yourself, but you're a busy restaurant owner. You got into the restaurant business because you think you make the best pizza in town. You want to make the best pizza for everybody. That's your focus. It's not to try and become a marketer. Okay, so the idea of, okay, now I'm going to carve out 3 hours out of my day to sit down and learn these tools and learn how to build a funnel because I saw an ad that says I'm one funnel away. It doesn't make any sense for 90% of those small businesses. Systems then combine. We're going to say, we're going to give you the tools. We're going to set those tools up in the way that you need them for your business. We're going to create assets, marketing assets that you can use. So landing pages, websites, campaigns, email campaigns, SMS campaigns, all that type of stuff. We're going to put all of that together for you. That's what a system is, right? A system takes all of these different parts and pieces and puts them together to work together. So we're going to put all these together for you and turn it on, activate it for you. And that way you get the benefit of having this complete marketing system, but you're not having to sit down and figure out how to create that on your own in these tools. And you're also not having to pay for something custom, because what we've done is we've created a system for restaurants like yours, and Joe's got a restaurant, PJ's got a restaurant, Dorn's got a restaurant with very slight customization. You can all take advantage of this same system. So the same system, in theory, is a system that if I just set it up for one customer, it would cost tens of thousands of dollars, right? If I were an agency and I was designing your website from scratch, designing your sales funnels from scratch, writing all your copy from scratch, all that type of stuff, I would charge you tens of thousands of dollars to do that, which again, most small businesses can't or won't do. But if I take that same investment, let's say I invested $50,000 of my time and energy to create the perfect restaurant system in high level, right? Now I can take that same system and sell it across hundreds of restaurants, charge them each $497 a month. And now I'm going to recoup way more than that $50,000 that I invested. And all of those small businesses are getting an advantage of using that system at a greatly reduced price from what it actually costs to create. Okay. So that is the idea. How we do that in high level has been beautifully designed for that model. Okay. And why I say that is because let's say you take high level, which has got all these marketing automation systems features that every small business needs. It's got the tools. It's got the tools that allow you to do email, SMS, calendaring, reputation review management, social media management, all that stuff. So it's got all of the tools that a small business could possibly want or need. But what they have also done, oops, my camera, hold on one second, guys. What they have also done is they have made it easy for you to build the assets into it, and they've even helped you with that, right? By putting website templates, landing page templates, email templates, social media templates, all of those things in there so that it's easy for you to create the complete system. So in high level, let's just say the restaurant example specifically, Joe, okay? Let's say that we have decided that the perfect marketing system for restaurants would include that we should get people's birthdays and reward them on their birthdays with some sort of special offer. And we should do that every year, right? It's crazy not to. So what you would do as one of the benefits of your system that you create for restaurants is in high level, you would create landing pages for capturing people's name and birthday information. You create some ad templates that could drive people into that. You would then create some automated follow-up sequences that say, hey, thank you so much. We've got your birthday. Thanks for opting in. It's not your birthday today, but here's an awesome thank you for giving us your info. And then we'll see you on your birthday. And then when it comes to birthday time, 10 days before their birthday, they say, hey, you got a birthday coming up. And there's an automated campaign that goes out, says, we'd love to have you in, dinner on the house, whatever, that type of thing. So all of that can happen with automation using high level so that you set that up once for your restaurant and then it just runs, okay? That's something that theoretically they could do on their own, but then they'd have to sit down and you figure out how to use high level. And that's just one of the campaigns. You're also gonna have anniversary campaigns, VIP campaigns. You're gonna have a review capture system. You're gonna have a reminder system to send out before somebody's reservation at the restaurant. You're gonna have all of these things that you can include in your marketing system for them. With high level, that can all be done with templates, custom values, and snapshots. Templates just means you're not creating stuff from scratch. You can grab the landing page template to start with, the email template to start with, all that stuff. Custom values means that to customize this for every single customer, it's going to be very efficient because you're going to use little, custom codes. So in your email, you guys are all familiar with this. It's going to say, dear custom value first name, right? So that when the email actually goes out the door, it says, dear Joe, because it took your first name automatically from the database and plugged it in there, right? So because you have those custom values, you can write email templates and landing pages and websites that can be updated very, very efficiently for every customer. You go into one place, you fill in these fields, and now all of these things are updated, okay? And then the final piece of the puzzle is snapshots. You can now take this whole system, and when a customer signs up, you can take the whole thing and go kerplunk and drop it into their account, okay? So by doing all of that now, you're giving them all these tools, all of these assets. You're doing a slight customization process for every customer. It's not a ton of lifting, but now they have the system up and running. And then depending on who your customers are that you're serving, what niche it is that you're going after, who your avatar is, you will have some degree of layer of service that you will provide on top of those assets, most likely, on top of that system, okay? So for some customer avatars that you go after, it may be that you run the whole dang thing for them. It's completely hands-off for them other than, going in and doing a couple of administrative things. Otherwise, you're running the system because they are not marketing savvy at all, don't have any time, don't have any interest, all that. They just want to pay somebody to do it. And that could be your value prop. For other avatars and other value propositions, it may be, hey, we put the whole system in place and now you and your team run with it, right? So it could be either of those scenarios or anything in between. But that's how the model works, Joe. High level has been designed and continues to be designed and evolved very, very specifically to be able to do that for every customer in a super, super efficient and profitable way that just doesn't exist elsewhere in the industry. It's rad. So I hope that helps you. Doran says we're burning everything down at the business. Awesome. Craig says, will there be any updates to R4 sales funnel snapshot to reflect retargeting? The latest update I saw was 118. Now, the latest update was actually just here in this last week. But the answer is, Craig, there's going to be all kinds of updates to all the snapshots, all the campaigns, all that type of stuff. Yep. So one of the things that I'm doing now with the high leverage agency, because I feel that high level is now fully to this point is I am going to be essentially creating marketing assets, updating marketing assets throughout the year as we go, feeding them out to you so that you guys can take them and run with them. So yes, there will be all kinds of updates on a continuous basis. What's up, Johnny? Good to see you. I also see you back there on camera, sir. I will let you in here in just 1 minute if you would like to join and have a conversation. Does High Level do e-commerce? Rob, not right now, but it is definitely on their radar. I think that they have actually published a date for a ballpark kind of initial release. I think like at least like within a quarter, like Q2 2023, whatever. You have to check with them on that, but I know it's definitely on their radar. Vic, Mike, the system you're talking about, do you have a course on it that has all of this in it? This is High Leverage Agency, Vic, is what High Leverage Agency is all about. It's also, if you wanted to create your own from scratch, it's MSP Academy. MSP Academy is if you want to take all of the concepts I just described and go through the training on how to think through developing your own program and all the frameworks and things like that I use to kind of model that out. Or if you say, Mike, I just want to follow your stinking approach, then that's High Leverage Agency. Okay. Oh, I got a shot of carbonated water in the eye. Jeff says, Mike, do you push the snapshot updates out when you do them? No, Jeff, I just refresh the snapshot. The snapshot updates, pushing the updates only works if you're like on my High Level account and I have direct access to push the update into your account. So if you were a direct customer of mine, I could do that. Okay. If you're a independent user of High Level, an agency like that, what you need to do is, essentially re-download the snapshot and then decide which new assets you want to download and things like that. Okay. So, and this is a really important point while we're on this subject, because I know I have a lot of High Level people that are just getting started. Please listen to this very carefully. When you are downloading a snapshot for the first time, have a dummy account, have a sandbox account, if you will. Okay, an account where you can just put things in there, screw things up, not worry about anything that happens. Okay, so create a sub account. I can show you my High Level. I have a sub account called Mike's Sandbox. And that's where I can play with stuff and mess things up and screw around and know that nothing is damaging anything of significance. Okay. Why do you want to do that? You want to do that to make sure that you understand what exactly it is that you're downloading when you're downloading it. 2, you want to make sure that you actually want all the stuff that you're downloading, because a snapshot can have tons and tons of stuff. And maybe there's only 3 or 4 things in there you're going to use. Do not clutter up your account with a bunch of junk that you're not going to use. It'll just create a big mess. Okay. So there's a lot of people out here that get all snapshot crazy, and I'm going to buy I've got 1,000 snapshots from, everybody I got, that's like as useful as having 10 bazillion books in the library, that you don't ever read or don't know what's in them, that type of thing. So just download into a dummy account, find what it is that you need. And then in most cases, what you can do then is just copy from that account to another account to just put your stuff in there, right? So you can just, hey, copy this from this account to that account. You can't do that in all cases just because there's some assets that are not easily copied between accounts. So you still may need to download from that snapshot into the account that ultimately you want it to be in. But at least now you know exactly what you're doing before you download it, okay? Super important. Doran says, I learned that the hard way. Joe says, excellent, Mike. Cheers for that. How does the systems as a service model compare to Alex Hormozi's approach with Gym Launch? Okay, first of all, let me say this. I love Alex Hormozi. I know we all are so giddy about Alex Hormozi because he's the smartest guy in the world and he's got such a social media presence and all that type of stuff. And he is. He's smart. He's killed it. All that type of stuff. Really admire the guy. But let me explain to you a handful of things. Okay, one, Alex Hormozi is a case study of one. And so, and here's what I mean by that. What I mean is that Gym Launch is a kind of a freak success in the industry. There are almost, I don't know of any other case in the small business kind of agency model world out there that you would look at and say, yeah, that's another Gym Launch in another industry. Okay. Yes, it is an outlier. Doran, thank you for the actual right word I was trying to come up with. It is an outlier. Okay. So the reason why I stress this, Joe, is because it can be really easy to get really excited about Alex Hormozi and then go down a path that the chances of success are very, very, very slim. Okay. Alex Hormozi was a guy who was willing to essentially give up all of anything else in his life, for years to go and eat, sleep, and breathe, building somebody else's business, move to another city, do it again, move it to another city, do it again, that type of thing to build his business up. He eventually, of course, evolved that model, but again, it is an outlier. Okay. So the models that have worked, and there are lots of versions of them that have worked that you can look at, are these systems as a service business where the price points are significantly lower so that a business can afford them and will stick with them month after month, that type of thing. Whereas Alex's model was essentially, you're going to pay me $1 bazillion for me to completely fix your business and $1 bazillion to be in my mastermind and all that type of stuff. Like I said, super, 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 super rare. Okay. As in one. I don't know of any other case of that working. Okay. I also want to stress, just to stress and be smart about it. It's a private company. So you don't know, I mean, I'm sure it did great. Yes, absolutely. Recording this, it'll be up on YouTube. Yes, I'm sure it did great, but it's a private company. You don't know all the warts and all the things that sucked about it and all that type of stuff. So model yourself after businesses where you can see a public track record of it working. You can get data about the metrics, all that type of stuff. And there's a lot of that out there. So I just caution that. That all being said, Joe, yes, my understanding of Alex Hormozi's model, which is, hey, we have this proven growth system for gyms, and at least at one point or another, his model was, we're going to put team to it as well. We're going to put our trained salespeople and all that type of stuff to come and execute the model for you for a period of time. Yeah, absolutely, you could do that with high level, because that system that you're referring to, you just build that in high level. And then you go and show up at the gym like they did and like, look, for the next 90 days, we are your sales team until we get this thing on track. And then you'll be able to run it from there. And we take our big, massive upside for doing that for you, right? So yeah, you could do that. You could also behave more like, or build something more like, I'm trying to think what the name of the company is. I can find it, Joe. It's not coming to me off the top of my head, but there's a smart entrepreneur in New York. He used to own 5 gyms in New York. Now he's building he's essentially building a gym management and marketing system that he's doing really well with, it seems like. So he's not taking that super hands-on, we're going to grow your business and then take a percentage of the upside approach. He's taking much more of a sign up for our system, pay us, $500 a month, run your business correctly, right? He may have some mastermind stuff to it as well. I don't know, but I can find the name and I can look for it for you. So let's see here. Jeff, I will let you know when the updates are out. I will send them to you. Okay. I will push a notification to you through my groups and all that type of stuff. Okay. Yeah, Doran says, learn that one the hard way on the snapshots. Let's hear. Julie says, I think I should have access to high leverage agency, but it does not recognize me. I have two email addresses I use, but not sure. Julie, please send an email to help@servicesthatscale.com and we will get you sorted out. It sounds like your scenario there is very common. We've had a lot of people that, they have 2 different 3 different email addresses they're using, things like that. And we just got to get it sorted out, which one is supposed to have access. Okay. Let's see here. Scott says his wife created operations without her, no exit. Yeah, it seems like she's a sharp cookie. MC Marketing Pros, how do you handle the sending of your clients' newsletters to their customers after you have it properly formatted in good bits? Can High Level do automated sending of these pre-done newsletters? So I think that with good bits, I don't have a good answer for you for good bits for doing clients' newsletters. I mean, what you could do is you could format it in good bits. And then, what you could do, is let's say you have your clients all set up on MailChimp as an example. GoodBits directly integrates with MailChimp. And so what you could do is you could go into GoodBits, create their newsletter for them, and then just push the send, and it will go out through their MailChimp account. So you could do something like that. That way you're just building all the newsletters in GoodBits, which is dramatically more efficient than trying to build it in, MailChimp itself. And then you can just push it out through MailChimp. So you can do that as an example. Another model, at least this was, but I haven't tested this in a while, is you could build it in GoodBits, take the HTML export and drop it into an HTML field inside of High Level, and then send it through High Level. So you still have that manual step of getting it from one place to the next. And then, but I think though, if you are going to be in the newsletters as a service business, I would do it all in High Level, and I would determine a process using custom values to make the production of those newsletters super efficient across a bunch of customers, and then just send it all out through High Level on a pretty automated basis. That, I know that's a mouthful, to try and tell you what to do here, but that is awesome. Thanks, Johnny. But that is what I would do. No, not Bedros. I'll find his name. It's a guy that I'm not real familiar with. Like, I know Bedros because those guys are all, big, obviously big visible personalities. This guy is not a big visible personality. It's somebody that I just follow on Twitter because he's doing a good job of building a SaaS with no investment and stuff like that in that space. So Sarah says, I'm gating your CD ebooks inside my blogs to build my list. Is there a way to make it so the user doesn't have to opt in and enter their info to download each time? No. Well, I mean, I'm sure there is, but why would you want to do that? I don't understand that. Opt in and enter the info to download each time. Are you saying because they're already on your list, so you don't want them to have to opt in again? Is that what you're saying, Sarah? Because if that's the case, for anybody who's on your list, I would just make a point of just sending out the ebooks to them like in a newsletter automatically and saying, hey, sending out the ebook in a newsletter to them, before you make them live, and just saying, hey, here's our latest ebook, right? Like if they're already on your list, I would do it that way, versus if they are, versus if they're on your, let's see here, if they're on your blog, I'm going to have to think about that. I have to think about that. If you can do that with like a trigger link or something like that, that would identify that they're already an opt-in. I'll have to think about that, Sarah. And Sarah, I haven't even had a chance to watch the video that Sean from High Level tagged me on today in the group. I haven't even had a chance to watch it, but I have been pressing him for 2 years now to create an opt-in system that is essentially a replacement for ConvertBox, which is one of my all-time favorite marketing tools. And it sounds like they've got the V1 of that up in beta now. That's the video that he tagged me on. So I'll have to go through that, because theoretically, when that is built out correctly, it would solve this for you. A known visitor wouldn't have to opt in because it would recognize them as a known visitor. as somebody who's already in your database. Okay. Johnny, are you ready to come on camera? Sorry, man, I kind of left you hanging back there. Give me a wave of your hand if you want to come on camera. Awesome. Let's do it. How are you, sir? I can't hear you. Oh, wait, hold on. I've got you on mute. No, you've got you on mute.
How about now? Am I good?
I got you.
All right, good.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you?
Good, good. I'm glad you're here.
You've been
sorry
awesome.
I'm sorry we had a bunch of challenges back and forth to get you here, but I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. Yesterday on that call, that was amazing. Thank you for helping. It got me, and I felt like I was part of the whole thing because you took the remodeling on on that. So long story short, that's my background. You know, a closure of a business kind of got to be behind the scenes a little bit locally. But obviously around that, I'm good. So I think I'm going to focus, home service titans is just kind of how I created something quickly. In case there was other options there as I went on, but I think I'm going to focus on it because I know the business. My problem is I suck at messaging. I've never been good at it. That's why I had somebody come into the company, a marketer. We used High Level. He brought High Level into the company. We love it. I know it very well. I learned the back end with your course, obviously hooking things up, and I've done it so many times that screwed it up. I'm good at all that. So the question I had for you is on the LS messaging that you have, the form, and the HLA messaging, which is kind of like it's done for you, for your, that's where I'm struggling with those. I don't understand the difference. One of them looks like it's more of like you're just, you're going across the board of all your messaging that you use, and the other one's pinpointing it to a value proposition. So for instance, if I was on Facebook and I was going to run an ad because I suck at messaging, can I use what you've said, hey, just take out restaurant, put in your niche and go with that? Because that's kind of what I'm doing. Is that okay? Should I focus on the other one and kind of go through the long end of it because I suck at it and I don't want to mess it up? Or what are your thoughts?
I would take exactly what I've created for you in R4 and I would just tweak it to your specific industry.
Okay.
And send it out the door.
Okay. All right. And then other than that, in R4 with the 4 different pyramids or the 4 parts of it. I don't, like you mentioned a couple of times, I've never ran a Facebook ad before for business, and I've never done anything. So the top 2 things I've never done. The bottom 2 things, pretty solid on that. But I feel like if I'm selling a guy, like if I'm pitching that whole pyramid, and they say, well, what about this? I really want you to reach for me. Like, I feel like, what am I going to say? So I'm lost on how to kind of, and when I'm in a pitch, how am I going to defend myself if I'm pitching these 4 things and I don't know how to do 2 of them?
Yeah, so you will have a number of different options, okay? And I know I'm rolling this out, and so you don't have all the answers yet, but I am. What I'm about to roll out is more specifically like, here's how to do X, right?
Okay. So I jumped the gun on that one. I apologize.
Well, no, but that's okay. I want to give you some insight so you have some degree of thinking through how you're going to handle this even before that gets to you. So there's a couple of options. So one, there's a tool out there called Uphext. Uphext is a gentleman in the industry who's done a pretty darn brilliant job of allowing you to set up and run Facebook ad campaigns for a business in just a totally dummy-proof way. I mean,
I watched the videos. Yeah.
So I've hesitated to share that with my audience. I've known about it for I don't know how long. I've hesitated to share it with my audience until I personally went through it, which I did with him, with the owner a few weeks ago, so I could say, hey, how are you handling this? Show me exactly what you're doing. And I'm super pleased with it. I think it's one of those things where you can follow my systems-based approach, and this is key. What I don't want people doing is jumping into Uphext and going, oh, now I'm a creative Facebook ad manager. I don't want that at all. What I want you to do is say, hey, here are 7 super standardized campaigns for this industry that when a customer wants the reach plan, I turn on those 7 campaigns, we put a budget to it, and it runs. Period, end of sentence, right? So that could be an option for you. And that is, to me, if you're going to go the Facebook ads route for like reach, that type of thing, that is what I would recommend. Okay. If you are, and then let me give you a second option there. There's a second option for direct mail that I'm a big fan of. And so like in a lot of industries, like your industry that you're focusing on, direct mail is a huge opportunity. And you can do it in a very structured, like automated, really awesome way. Like it's awesome. And most people don't know this about direct mail because the focus has been off of direct mail and everybody's focused on digital, right?
Are you going to put that into this program with how you're doing it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can take that and you could make that part of your reach. So those are two solutions for reach that you can make as systematized and just canned as you can imagine. Like,
yeah, that's what I loved about UpX is he systemized the way of that marketing. And I felt like if I sign, when I'm ready, when this is all set up, for me personally, getting clients, I'm going to set that up for me and use those templates and understand it because, I mean, you could charge a little bit of money per month on top of their ad spend and make pretty decent money at that. He's got it done. From what I understand, I haven't took the trial. I didn't want to get involved in it until I was ready for it, just by watching the videos. And so I was hoping that you thought the same thing. On his idea of taking the SMA and turning it into a system versus making it, like you said, management and stuff like that. The last thing I want to take up everybody's time, so I apologize, is you mentioned yesterday on the call that you're going to put all those, you're really doing it online, of the scripts and all the stuff that you had. I can't find them anywhere in the programs. I just want to make sure that I'm looking in the right spot. So high leverage, the high level agency one, and then the boot camp one, and the two I'm in. I can't find them anywhere in there.
Hold on, let me just share my screen and make sure. I'm getting used to.
I figured so. I just figured I'd ask.
I'm getting used to their system, and more than once I have thought that I published stuff, and then it turns out I didn't have the whole section published. So if we go over here, this is inside a high leverage agency. And then just scroll all the way down, I think, into.
And I really love the fact that now I know what you're doing is you're only giving access to things as you feel that they would be at that time. Like versus everybody going in there just like, oh my God, where do I start?
Yeah, I'm trying to take you guys through a path, especially since this is the initial launch of this. Like, rather than just if I turn everything on, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, and I am deliberately trying not to overwhelm in this program because actually that's what I usually do. Is I love to give everybody everything, but it overwhelms and it causes people to stall out. So I'm trying not to do that, and I admittedly am probably not very good at it yet, and I'm figuring it out. So, but if you scroll down, you should see templates and frameworks, and you should have a whole bunch of.
It maybe was me not understanding. So it's in the high leverage, right?
Yeah, high leverage agency. Yep.
Oh, it's right here. I see it now. Wait. Attention engine, shock. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I think that's what this is right here. Am I in the right one? Let me make sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm in the right one. So I don't have any checks on none of this stuff. So it's got to be this stuff then. Cleaning templates, sales templates. Yeah, it's got to be that. Okay. It's there. Cool. My bad. This morning I looked at it. I didn't see anything. I just looked at my check marks because I check everything off as I do it. So I know I don't miss nothing. So
yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Other than that, I have your other leverage academy. Is there something in there that or I don't want to mix the two up and have it completely two different, because I know this is something more you're rolling out now, and that could have been something from the past, and it could confuse me.
Yes, what I would recommend right now, Johnny, you came in at just the right time to have the perfect intersection and explosion and implosion of confusion. So what I would recommend is that you just put your head down in high leverage agency, and anytime you have questions, you just let me know and I'll direct you to the right stuff.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate you letting me have this conversation.
I'm glad to have you here as a part of the community. It's great to connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Let's see here. So let's see here. Is selling websites through Go High Level an outdated model? Absolutely not. 100% not outdated. I mean, I don't think it will ever be outdated. Website hosting are both growing like crazy, massive growth spaces. Small businesses are a disaster when it comes to websites. So no, I definitely not outdated. Definitely not outdated. Just getting fired up. Joe says, I love what Law Hustle is doing. Yeah, Law Hustle is a great role model, Joe. They're a great role model. So you've seen similar companies charge $2,500 a month for their growth system. Do you think this is too much for a local biz? Okay, so no, I don't think it's too much. I think it's all about the avatar. Okay, so let me just give you an example, Joe. When I did my IT services business, okay, and this is what I started it now. God, how old am I? It's been a long time. So it's, since the day I started, I ran it for 9 years before I sold it. But our prices then were $1,500 to $2,500 a month on average. So that was then. I mean, you take inflation and all that type of stuff now, right? It'd be $2,500 to $3,500 a month for the same thing. So, and that was for IT, which IT was considered or is considered maybe more of a necessity, but it's also something that people do not want to pay for. It was a painful necessity. Nobody wants to spend $50,000 for new computers and then have to spend $50,000 a year to make those computers work, right? It was terrible. But those were the price points we charged then, and our average customer stayed with us for years. So no, it is not too high of a price point, but it is very much dependent on who you are selling to. Okay. So if you are selling to a 50-person law firm, okay, a 50-person law firm is still a small business. A lot of people think that that's now a big business. It's not. A 50-person law firm is still a small business. It's still the type of business where the owner every month is like looking at payroll and looking at expenses and going, oh, I got to manage cash flow, right? It's not freaking Exxon. That 50-person law firm can spend $2,500 a month, can spend $5,000 a month with no problem, right? Will they? That totally depends on the avatar, right? Because law firms can be some really cheap SOBs too that don't value marketing. So finding the right price point for the avatar that you're selling to is critical. If you try and sell $2,500 a month to most restaurants, there's maybe 10 restaurants in San Diego that are going to spend that much, right? Or, that's an exaggeration, maybe more than that. But the far majority of the thousands of restaurants in San Diego are not going to pay more than maybe $500 a month max. And most of those restaurants are probably more like $300 a month max. So, you've got to create for and price for who it is that you're selling to. Okay. Michael says, do you have a program or system for publishing a weekly newsletter? Yeah. So it depends on who you're sending that newsletter to, Michael. But yes, I have a couple of different things. So if you'd let me know a little bit more about who you're doing that for, that'd be great. Sticky forms, yes, Glenn, thank you. Absolutely. For Sarah says, right, but I'm saying if they're reading the blog and see the downloads on each, well, they have to keep entering their info just in case they find my blog so amazing and want all of the ebooks. Oh, I got you, Sarah. Well, I would make this super simple. Okay. So if somebody opts in to any of your, to get any of your ebooks, I would just immediately send them an email with links to all the ebooks. Say, hey, thank you for downloading this ebook. Here it is. Here's 7 others that you might enjoy. And as we create more, we'll send them to you. I would do that. The other version of that is set up a landing page where once they opt in, you take them to that landing page, and that landing page has, all of the downloads available right there with little descriptions of them, so they can see all the things that you publish if they want to just go and grab them all. So that would be my approach, just to keep it super easy. Newsletter question follow-up. Should my done for client to customer monthly newsletter be a part of my website as a service-based package? No. I would make it an upsell. Totally, it's a totally different value proposition, totally different work, totally everything. A website as a service is awesome. You can just let that thing go and sit there and make you money. Newsletters, you're going to have to put in more work, more operational process around it. Totally different value proposition, totally different everything. I would make them two different things. Okay. Glenn, clearly not paying attention to my every word. This is disappointing. High leverage agency, Glenn. Yes, it's not for you. I'll just tell you right now. I know you well enough. It's not for you. But yes, new program. Rob says, I need to get the snapshots still. They went into my spam folder and I accidentally deleted spam. The snapshots, Rob, are inside of the membership areas. So they're inside of the membership areas. So you should be able to just go in there and delete them. I mean, and download. Scott, yes. Can you speak to pricing and margins on services? This is one of my favorite topics, Scott, so I would be happy to. It's one of my favorite topics because most people are getting this way wrong or are just not aware, and it's costing them problems, okay? So let's start with pricing here. Can we do a little whiteboard session? People up for that? A little whiteboard session? We got some time, right? We're hanging out together. This is one where it's much easier to communicate and explain if people can see the actual numbers drawn out and all that good stuff. And by the way, I have a presentation on YouTube that goes over all of this in pretty significant detail. You can find so you can just kind of go back through it over as you need to. But let me go ahead and just do a quick version of it right now so that we can answer this question and get on the same page. Okay, here we go. This is a good one. So here's the metrics and metrics of this model. Okay, so let me get to the one that you are specifically asking about, which is pricing and margins. Okay. We're going to start right here with gross margins. Okay, gross margins, 65% is awesome. Thank you, Glenn. Have a good one, bud. Happy holidays. So gross margins, this is as important of a number as any other number in your business. Okay, it's as important. It's more important than price. It's just as important as cash flow. I mean, right? Like, because this is the engine that creates cash flow and profitability at your business. Okay, it is the deliverer of cash flow and profitability at your business. So if you don't know what gross margins are, I'm going to pretend you guys don't, because I know a lot of people do not, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I do want to say that these are the kinds of things that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have got to learn these things. You cannot screw around when it comes to understanding the fundamental numbers of business, okay? So gross margins are the dollars that are left when you take away your cost of selling your product or service and delivering your product or service. I'm sorry, not cost of selling, cost of delivering your product or service. So in other words, if you sell something for $100 and it costs you $35 to deliver that thing. And when I say deliver, I mean, if I sold this pen for $100 and it cost me $35 to make the thing, okay? 100 minus 30, so that's referred to COGS, cost of goods sold, okay? So this is $35 to make, $100 to sell. $65 then is my gross margin expressed in dollars. Okay, over here you see it expressed in percentage. The way I get that is I take the 65, I divide it by the price, 100, and it gives me 65%. Okay, that percentage number, like I said, is one of the couple of most important numbers in all of business, okay? 65% in this industry is typically the minimum that you want to be able to sell at and be a profitable business, be a healthy, profitable business. And I would love to see anything. This is awesome. I can have YouTube TV on this thing. So when the World Cup was on or the 49ers are on and I'm working, that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting here working. I've got this thing with my sports going at the same time. Sorry, I don't know why we had that little hiccup there. That's annoying. Get over here. Okay. So that number, 65% is essentially your kind of bare minimum. Okay. So if you are, let's see, let's do a typical kind of just comparison. Let's say that you were doing, because this is pretty common, that businesses will have 50% gross margins. So if you're selling it for 100 and it costs $50 to deliver, now you've got $50 gross margin. Okay. So you now have $15 less per sale to go and pay for everything else at your business. Okay. So let's just say that everything else is the same. Okay. I mean, just to look at the comparisons, if it costs you now $50 to run your business, do all your sales and marketing, all that type of stuff, overhead, all that. This has a $0 profitability, whereas now this has a $15 profitability, which is 15% net profit, right? So that's a massive, massive difference between 65 and 50, right? So we've got to understand what all of these numbers are in our business and how they add up. So 65%, I can just tell you right now, is pretty much the minimum in this business that you want to be shooting for gross margins to be successful. Okay. Now here's the other thing that I want to show you about gross margins, because this is really, really important. Sorry, guys. This is really important, is a lot of people don't really understand the math of all of this from a percentage basis. Okay. So let's just say you go, okay, Mike, I agree with you. I understand. I've got to be at like 65% gross margins. I'm at 50 now. Okay. But Mike, the difference between that 50, the 65 over here and this 50 was only $15. So here's what a lot of people do is they in their head go, oh, I need to raise my prices here by $15. I was only short by $15. So they raise their money. I mean, they raise their price over here by $15, thinking that now is getting them to 65% gross margins. Let's get out our handy dandy calculator real quick. And let's say, what is 50, because I'm not good at this in my head, divided by 115 again to find our percentage. 40, I'm sorry, hold on here. Where's my eraser? Oh, my eraser moved. Okay, sorry. So 115 minus my $50 cost of goods sold, because that didn't change, gives me 65 now. What is 65 divided by 115? It's only 56%. Okay, I've only bumped it up to 56%. So I'm still not anywhere near 65%, okay? So let's just say for easy button, I was gonna make this 66% instead of 65%, okay? Let's just do easy math here so you can see what the impact of this is. If I had a $50 cost of goods sold, so that's what it cost me to deliver my product, and I want to have 66% gross margins, the math is pretty simple. I've got to be at 3 times my cost of goods sold to get to 66%. So 150. I had to raise my price from 100 to 150. I had to raise my price by 50% to get to 66% gross margins. So if I take this 50 now, I take the 100 because my cost of goods sold. So now I'm selling at 150. Take my $50 cost of goods sold again. I now have $100 in gross margin. Take 100 divided by 150, 66%. So to go from 50% gross margins to 66% gross margins, I had to raise my prices by 50%. Okay? So it is incredibly important that you understand this math and how to calculate these things. And so you asked, Scott, can you talk pricing and margins? Okay? Pricing has to be done in the small business space. Okay, you'll hear people say, oh, price your services just purely based on the value. So if you're going to tell that small business owner, hey, small business owner, I can double your business, so then you pay me on the value. Okay, that was kind of the initial Alex Hormozi model, right? I'm going to come in there, I'm going to grow your business from 250,000 to 750,000. So that's $500,000 in improvement. I want 20% of it. Okay, great. That's a nice model. He just got a nice big chunk of cash. He took everything though. Everything was completely on performance, right? And he literally went and lived at the business for a month, 2 months at a time, and grew it like crazy. Okay, so if you're going to do that kind of commitment, the problem I have with Alex's model is like, why don't you just buy the gyms? Just own the gyms, right? Make a lot more money if you built up a whole big gym business and did it that way. But anyway, if I was going that hard for my small business customers, I would just buy the businesses. I would never put in that much effort to grow somebody else's business unless I owned it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So the price though, in small businesses, it is very, very rare that you can just price based on value. Okay. The fact is, yes, if you put in the right growth systems at a business, their business could double in the next year. Is that small business going to agree to pay you, $75,000 because you helped them double? Probably not. Most small businesses, they're not thinking real strategically. They're not, it's just reality about the small business marketplace. For the most part, the prices to small businesses are constrained by perception of what is expensive and by their budgets, right? So they don't have much money. Most small businesses are pretty much hand to mouth. They're not real profitable. And so when you try and charge them $2,500 in the case of like what we were talking about with Joe, if you do that with the wrong small business, they go, man, my mortgage doesn't cost me $2,500. I'm not paying you $2,500, right? Like that's the way they're thinking. So they're not thinking like investors. They're not thinking strategically. So for the most part, you have to have a price point that fits into their mindset of what's appropriate. And this has been very well documented. If you look, there's all kinds of studies out there from venture capitalists who have launched all kinds of tools, software tools and all that type of stuff in the space. They know the price points that work with small businesses. And it's from like essentially $47 a month to around $497 a month is the sweet spot. And then there are some tools and services that can go beyond that to like the $997s, $1497s. Beyond that is rare. Beyond that is rare for services in those price ranges to actually stick. It's just not common. So can it be done? Yes. Is it common? No. So you've really got to be looking inside of those bands of kind of reality for small businesses at the pricing point. And so if you know that you have to be around, like let's just say we decide on $497, Scott. If we know that we're going to be there, and we also know that we've got to have at least these margins, then we can work backwards and figure out what are the services that we can deliver at the costs to make this all work. It has to be that way. Like you have to drive the numbers that way, or else you're just going to build a model that won't have profits at the end of the day. Doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah, Tim Fandrick says, we love our $297 and $497 price points. So does Mike Cooch, as Tim knows. Those are price points that I'm a big fan of. So, but let's take this $497 and let's just say that we have to have 67% gross margins, 66% gross margins, okay? So we take 497.66. That gives us 328 in gross margins. Oops. Did you see that? I tried to erase it with my finger there. 328 in gross margins. Okay. Okay. And then so we take 328, we make that minus, go 497. That means we can have 169 essentially in cost of goods sold. So we can invest $169 each month on the service delivery side to deliver that 497 service. Okay. And that's 169 in tools and services. Okay. So the great thing is high level costs you essentially nothing per customer. Depending on what you're offering, there might be, some variable price in there, like for website hosting, if you were hosting on WordPress, or if you were providing some bundle of minutes, and SMS credits and stuff like that in there. If you included Yext, right, then the Yext fee could be included in there. But you got a decent amount to play with. Let's say that you were paying somebody, I don't know, $25 an hour, $35 an hour to help you manage those customers. So 35 times 1,400, yeah. So that's times 4. That's roughly a $65,000 a year or $60,000 a year employee, something like that. So you can definitely do that. Let's just say then the $35 an hour, 169. Let's take 150 of that divided by 35 just for shits and giggles. That's 4 hours that somebody's time could go into each month actually spent on that customer. These are the things that you got to start working on in your head so that you are deliberately designing profit into your business. Okay. You don't want to hope that there is profit at the end of the day. You want to deliberately design the profit into your service. Okay. And by the way, Scott and everybody else, okay, awesome, Scott, good. You're going to get that wrong. When you come out of the gate with some plan, there's going to be some costs that you screwed up on. There's going to be some things you underestimated, some things you overestimated, and that's part of the job, right? Is we go back and we circle around and we say, okay, what's working, what's not working? How do we continue to refine this to chip away at those costs and create the profits that we want, right? But at least you're coming at it from a plan. You didn't just sling a bunch of stuff out there and then hope, right? Download cost margin calculator in the App Store. Oh, cool. Awesome, Johnny. I love that. Good man. I didn't know that such a thing existed. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. So that's pricing and margins in this business. And then ultimately, guys, we can then continue on this path for the rest of our business, right? So if we take that 66% and we say at the end of the day, our goal is to have 20% net, which is a nice healthy net, right? Not saying that you have to limit yourself to that. I'm just saying that's a good goal for a business. So if we have 66%, okay, then what are the things that we can do? We have 46% to play with here. I'd say 15% for sales and marketing. Once you're fully loaded and up and running, 15% for sales and marketing is a good number. You're going to spend more on that, hopefully, in the early days as you're starting to build your business, because you want to push a bunch of marketing out there and stuff like that. You don't have the revenue to kind of cover that up, but at a fully loaded model basis, 15%, okay, needs to go to sales and marketing. Let's say that you've got 10%, let's call it 12% to just like overhead stuff. Overhead stuff, meaning, office space and electricity and, somebody to take out the garbage and all that type of stuff. Okay. So that's 27% against 66. So that gives us what? 39%. 39% then that goes into, team salary, things like that, right? So you've got, you got some numbers here to start goofing around with, right? And again, in the early days, I would love to see this number be significantly higher. Like if you look at the early days of Salesforce, their cost of sales and marketing was like 200% of revenue. Why? Because they knew they had a giant market opportunity and they just wanted to spend as much money as humanly possible to try and grab that whole market. So they were spending huge amounts of money on sales and marketing for years because they had the VCs and the public markets to back them with that strategy, right? Most of us, that's not realistic, but I would love for all of us to be aggressively spending on sales and marketing to try and go and capture as much recurring revenue as we can, right? But these are the numbers that you got to play with. The key is to be deliberate about it. You're not always going to be right, but as long as you have a structure that you're starting with so that you can have a strategy that you're starting with, right? So that gives you the 66 minus 27. 66. Oh yeah, excuse me. Thank you. 19%, right? 19% because my 20 at the bottom. Thank you. So as long as you have a strategy and a structure that you're like working towards, right? Then you're being deliberate. You're actually driving your business. You're driving the profitability of your business instead of hoping. People who have been around me long enough know one of my favorite sayings in business is hope is not a strategy, right? Hope is not a strategy. Let's use numbers and models and math and all that type of stuff to actually give us a chance. Okay. Dave says, so basically your price has to be 3x your cost. Yes, it does, Dave. That is a great way, at least 3x your cost. Exactly. Okay. And what is your cost is really important. Okay. So your cost needs to include, again, the tools, the time and talent that you are paying for service delivery. And I would argue their benefits and things like that should be included in there too. So if you have people on your team that are specifically for service delivery and they have benefits and all that stuff, I would include all of that in there in your costs as well. Okay. Logan says, before you leave, tell us about your smart monitor whiteboard. Yes, I love this thing. It is fantastic. This is a Vibe, V-I-B-E. You can see it right there, V-I-B-E, Vibe. You can get on Amazon. I'm pretty sure that's where I think I bought mine off of Amazon, but there's, you can go to the Vibe website and check it out. They're fantastic. They're much less expensive than some of the alternatives out there. Like Google has one, it's much more expensive. It is awesome because it plays it uses all the other apps. So like I was showing you, I have YouTube TV on here. I have all kinds of stuff on here. And it's great for collaboration. So if you have people in multiple places, man, this thing is rad. It really is, because this is all connected to the internet. It's all then, we can be doing this real time in multiple locations on the same board. I could actually share this board with you right now so that you guys could actually be on your browser and you guys could be just using the browser to collaborate on this with me. So you can do that type of stuff. You can take all of your presentations and put them into folders and all that, all that type of stuff. I can take any of my PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, images, and upload it. So I can be drawing. So like this is presentation slides that we were just working on from one of my presentations. So that is a slide that I just uploaded from one of my presentations, and then I can sit here and draw on it and stuff like that. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Let's see here. Stacy, I think it is 55 inch. I think so. Mike, Tina Money, what's up? Hi, guys. Thanks for getting set up in LA. Awesome. Good. Well, there's much more to come there, but yeah, I'm glad we got you in there. You also break this down, my growth program. Yes, PJ, absolutely. Yeah, all those numbers and stuff like that and kind of all the planning around that, that's really what that program is all about. Yep. Johnny says, having a few hundred customers and just manage it myself with just myself or using pro tools for onboarding and support, is that crazy for a plan? It's not crazy for a plan as long as you are constantly thinking, Johnny, what can I do that is scalable one-to-many that does not require extra labor? Okay. So as an example, let's give you, I have hundreds of customers on high level, right? So I get my recurring revenue commission. I have hundreds of customers that are paying me for, my courses and stuff like that on a monthly basis. So I can hop on here and do these calls and it's one-to-many. It doesn't require any additional time for me, whether I have 10 customers, 20 customers, 100 customers, or 1,000 customers. That's why it's such a great scalable model. So when you are designing your services, Johnny, you want to be looking at the ones that go, okay, where in this does it require labor on an ongoing basis? Much more important than the one-time setup, right? The one-time setup, you can put quite a bit of effort into that and make your customers super happy with that setup effort, and you're good, right? Because you're getting these nice margins on an ongoing basis that are recurring and don't require any of your time. But every time you design a service where it's got some element of actual human labor in it, you need to really scrutinize it and really go, is this necessary? Is there a way to do it with automation? Is there a way to do it one-to-many? Could I just get rid of it completely and my customers wouldn't even care? Change my value proposition a little bit, right? And still be able to sell. Okay. And the answer, by the way, to all those questions is yes, in almost every scenario. So, but Johnny and everybody in high leverage agency, this is why in particular, I tell you those base two plans, reputation and resell, are so critical and deserve so much of your focus, because those are the plans that are super, super, super high degree of just automation and assets. They don't require time and talent. Okay. So in that case, man, you end up going and selling 250 of those, and it's just you got your outsourced support team and stuff like that. And then probably a couple of VAs, Johnny. Like I've got a team of VAs, that are great. Yeah, so it's probably something more like that. But man, by that point, you're making really good money. You're cool with that model. And Johnny, I want to go back to actually just to circle back on what you asked me about the reach level as well. You don't have to offer that. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Johnny, you could change your pitch. So let's go through the 4 R's. You could literally change your pitch to say, here are the 4 R's. These are the things that need to be optimized. We do these 2 so that you can put your effort into these, right? Because that's what we found the business owner is best at. The business owner is best at being involved in their social media and being involved in getting the word out about their business and creating the relationships and generating referrals. Like that's part of what the business owner's magic is they're naturally kind of a salesperson and promoter of their business. And that takes effort and stuff that you probably don't want to invest in having somebody else do for you because it's expensive, versus these things are the foundation that will allow you to do those things with success. So what we do is we focus like crazy on these things. You don't have to do everything for everybody. And just because you're walking through those 4 R's in your explanation of how a business grows, doesn't mean you have to offer all 4 R's, right? So there is no need for you to feel like you have to do everything for your customers. This is actually one of the real challenges I see in this space is people get obsessed with thinking they have to do everything. Well, I saw this one business, this one competitor, and they offer this, so now I have to offer that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can tighten up your service and just say, hey, we're just a specialist at these things. Will that eliminate some customers? Yes, it will, because some customers want everything. Other customers are going to go, yeah, we don't want everything. We want just this. Or we tried everything, and what we found out was that because they do everything, they're not good at anything. We'd love to have somebody who really does this really well, you know? So like, you got to be strategic about what you're offering and why in your value proposition. And that does not have to mean everything. And in fact, it can't mean everything, or else you're not going to be good at anything. Okay. So I want to stress that to you. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. What do you think of the new SaaS consulting model that is gaining tons of traction? Do you think it's better than the systems as a service approach? I don't know what that is, Joe. I don't know what that is. You might have to give me a little more. Jason Sandlin says, I have my SaaS focus on the bottom two. I'm partnered with a traditional agency that offers the reach portion. So that's definitely an option too, Jason. Yeah, that's definitely an option too. My only caution on that is just to make sure that you have very, very clear communication with your customer as to who's responsible for what. So, and I think it's got to be one of two ways. It's got to be, we own all of the results and all of this, you know, that we're selling to you. And so if anything goes wrong with that service, we're responsible. Come to us, yell at us, you know, yada, yada. We'll take care of it. Or it's got to be completely opposite of that, which is, hey, look, we do this. We don't touch that. We have some other companies that we've worked with that we think are good at that we can refer you to, but just understand it's totally separate from us, right? It's got to be one of those two. That in the middle is where it gets murky and messy, and you end up, you know, kind of making your customers mad because something goes wrong. They're not sure who to blame, and they end up blaming both of you. And you know, you want to be just crystal clear on that. Okay. Hey, good to see you, sir. Says Mike, do you sell ad space in their San Diego model for the same price to every business, or different price for restaurants as opposed to home builders? No, I do the same for every business. I just keep it super simple. Yeah. I got to tell you, I'm considering experimenting with some stuff in 2023 that there would be some different models around this, but it's more like, as an example, you know, the big regional bank here or whatever. I like what the Charlotte Agenda did. The Charlotte Agenda goes to those big regional businesses that they know like have good ad budgets, the big regional bank, the big regional car dealership, you know, that type of thing. And they go to them and say, hey, look, we have sponsorship programs for businesses of your size, and they start at $25,000 a year, you know, $50,000 a year, that type of thing. And there's only 10 available. So we're gonna have one bank, one car dealership, one whatever, and they're, you know, it's $50,000 a year. That's the minimum. That's it, right? And then for the small businesses that we're selling to, you know, the typical mom and pops, then they have my other pricing schedule. So that is something that I'm considering here in this next year. Okay. All right, we are an hour and a half into it. I have another call here that starts right at 12:30, so I have to jump. But let me see here. What's one more? Joe says, have you used the Zappy Chat software? No, I've never heard of that. How much volume on Facebook, et cetera, would you need to have for that? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the exact answer to that. That's a good question. I mean, I think you can make it work at all different volumes. I think the issue is, what would you charge then, right? Like, obviously, if you have higher volume, you can charge more. If you have lower volume, charge less. So I think if you have a very small volume, you just have to lower your prices, and or you have to pitch that they're getting in early while you're building up momentum, you know, type of thing, right? So one or the other. Awesome, everybody. I have to run. Thank you so much for being a part of my community. I appreciate you guys always. Thank you for your time and attention and business. I hope that the call was valuable for you. happy holidays. Enjoy your time with your friends and family here over the next couple of weeks, but also use it as an opportunity to recharge, get fired up about your vision, and go into 2023 a million miles an hour, taking things head on and getting after it. Okay. It's a new opportunity, a fresh start. Let's make the most of it. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the community. I appreciate you. And we will see you on our next call and in the community until then. Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.